So it's an auspicious day. Gathering here today, this morning, for the Uncovering Symposium, which is the kind of culmination of Undercover of Darkness exhibition. And in this gathering, we are extremely humbled by all the people that we will be listening to today. And so I want to start with a moment of real humility and gratitude that I want to extend to everybody who is joining us on what in South Africa is a public holiday, and also during a time when we are extremely overwhelmed by various traumas, but also the trauma of the COVID-19 situation that we are sharing. So in a way, this event is conceived as something that looks to be able to create connections, and that's able to be a moment of sustenance rather than a moment of extraction, a moment of getting together rather than a moment of taking things away. And in that sense, I also wanted to maybe just take a short moment to think about how do we think about human rights? And as we know that the human rights commemorates the Sharpeville massacre, but today as well, while we do that commemoration, we are also commemorating the very deep histories and legacies that have brought us to this point. And some of what has brought us to this point is exactly how the human has been constituted through mechanisms of slavery, through mechanisms of colonialism, through mechanisms of capitalism. And possibly the Human Rights Day then is also a day in the context of the exhibition, in the context of this project, to really think about how we want to constitute the human going forward. And I think everybody that is going to speak today or to present something today will in some way touch on this. And I would like us to invite everybody to be open, to be receptive to what would be how humanness and connectedness is going to be supported and going to be evoked today. Having said that, I wanted to also beg your indulgence. We are not professional webinar services. This format is something that has its own issues. So if there's any problems, please alert us to that in the Q&A section, and the organizers will try to attend to that. I also wanted to mention that in view of the way in which the schedule was conceived, that you will see that after the first session, there's a break of around half an hour. And then we start again at 12 o'clock South African time in a session called Repast. And so we invite you to bring your food, because this is a session that will be about food, and it will be about sustenance, and it will be about thinking about what we consume and what we put into our bodies as well. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Toni Stuart, who is an old friend of the project, who has worked with the organizers previously. Toni is a poet, a performer, and a creative facilitator. We've invited her particularly for her work on Krotoa-Eva, her Krotoa-Eva Cape Jazz suite. And we would really like to then inaugurate Toni and we'll inaugurate the event through Toni's spoken poem, and which is an excerpt of this poem. So with that, Toni, please, can I hand over to you?
Thank you, Carine. Good morning, everybody. I just want to check that everyone can hear me well. So those who are on screen, if the panelists can just give me a thumbs up, either with a Zoom thumbs up or just with your own thumbs up on video. Good morning, everybody. It's really wonderful to be here and to be doing this work. I'm going to share 3 poems from Krotoa-Eva's suite, a Cape Jazz poem in 3 movements, and just to give the work a bit of context and to explain what the work is. This is a poetry collection that was written in 2015 that with the aim of telling Krotoa's story through her eyes and from her perspective. The archive, she's kind of not often, she's only written through the eyes of the white male colonialists with whom she interacted. And so this is a reimagining, this is a, it's a reimagining, and that in itself is intentional, because the truth of the matter is that we come from histories where not all of the facts are known. And so we have to draw on other ways of knowing in order to rewrite these histories, in order to write ourselves as fully human, and in order to write ourselves into being. And so I offer these poems as an act of pouring water over the bones. I think one of the things that feels important to say is also that when we walk through the archives, we invoke these spirits, and we are reaching a point where we need to be mindful of what it means to do that, and how we do that in a way that is honoring of our ancestors and of the land itself, and how we hold those practices in a way where when those stories are done, we lay them to rest, so that we're not constantly walking back and forth through these things. And so I offer these poems as an invocation, as a way of opening the space, and as a way of intending for today to be a space of healing in all the forms that it wants to be. The woman speaks. My tears spill down the flank of Devil's Peak. My breath is the cloth that sets Urikwacho's table. I am the one who invites you to eat. I am the one who invites you to eat. I am the child of two gods. My heart is a Hollander, but my soul prays to Haitian. I am the one whose bones are strong enough to carry the weight of two skins. I am the one whose mouth is supple enough to hold the secrets of three tongues. If you meet me in the veld, know my feet have already returned to the fort. If you meet me inside those castle walls, know my heart has already returned to the dunes. No matter who I tell you I am, do not believe me. No matter who I tell you I am always only half of myself. A child is renamed. One. Work first, then eat. We were still watermen then when the white man came ashore. Work first, then eat. I worked in the kitchen with a cook. The books will tell you I was only 6. Work first, then eat. Wet sand to scrub out the pots for a taste of sweetmeat on my tongue. Work first, then eat. Little Eva, he called me. Little Eva, naked body, naked mind. Work first, then eat. Wet sand to clean out the plates. Boiled felt fruits on my tongue. Work first, then eat. Wet sand to scrub in a new name. Sip of arak to wash away the old one. Work first, then eat. A bite of bread and cheese to soften my kawina clicks. Work first, then eat. A sugar cube to slacken the jaw. Enough to hold the white man's words. Work first, then eat. Sugar in my blood. There is sugar in my blood. My tongue is split in two. A child is renamed too. Uncle, you carried me into the white man's house. You washed my face with the rain. I was shivering, so you took me to sit by his fire. You promised food. Uncle, why does the white man wear funny clothes? Sorry, uncle. I know it's not funny, but I can't help. Sorry, uncle. Yes, uncle. Why is his hair so long, uncle? And when he speaks, how come his tongue doesn't click? Why does he call me Little Eva? Can I have the sugar cubes, uncle? I'm so hungry. Thank you, mister. Uncle, must I stay here? Okay. Yes, uncle. I'll do that. Uncle, you carried me into the white man's house for a pouch of tobacco, for a tot of brandy. And now I wash and dress his children. I eat quietly at his table. I pray to his God. The woman teaches herself how to give birth. I offer this poem in closing for all the women whose stories will be heard, will be run through and sung through today's proceedings in all the ways to all the presentations. The woman teaches herself how to give birth. There are prayers only women know. Prayers we sing into the silences. Prayers we sing into our wombs. Prayers we sing over a newborn soft head. Prayers we sing over our wounds. Prayers we sing into a newborn's mouth to teach her how to breathe. Prayers we sing into a young girl's lungs when time comes for her to grieve. Yes, these are prayers only women know, reaped from the moon at first bleed. Prayers never whispered, prayers only sung, and yet sown quiet as our need. Prayers learned by rote through each loss, after loss, after loss. Prayers the world wrote on, and against us, and against us. And with these prayers that only women know, we offer breath loud enough to pull a child into life. Prayers stronger than the cord, prayers sharper than the knife. Prayers stronger than the cord, prayers sharper than the knife. And with her first cry we witness her first prayer sung back into the womb she has left to learn breath and death, to learn breath and death. Thank you.